welcome, council member. everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Hayward City Council, which is being held in a couple of different locations, a few different locations
Recording
here.
in progress.
Okay, that was a voice from Zoom, I believe there. We're on Zoom, we're on channel 15, live streaming from our website, and here live at the City Council meeting are 3 of us this evening, with 4 council members on Zoom. And so we are going to, I'm going to call this meeting to order. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Andrews. Are you ready?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Good evening. Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to do so. I'm going to go ahead and Councilmember Andrews.
Present.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Present.
Councilmember Marquez.
Present.
Councilmember Salinas.
Present.
Councilmember Wahab.
Here.
Councilmember Cermeño.
I am here.
Mayor Halliday.
Here.
Thank you.
That brings us to the public comments section of our meeting. This is your opportunity to comment, either if you're here in the council chambers or attending in a different way, on items not otherwise on our agenda this evening. So if you have a public comment to make, I do see we have a hand raised on the Zoom. So I'll just turn this over to our city clerk, who can elaborate. Ms. Lenz can elaborate a little more on how you might make a public comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I believe, can you see my screen? I think all of you are able to see the screen? Perfect.
Yes, Mariam, we could see it.
That's great. So on the screen, and I'm actually going to forward to the next page, individuals wishing to join Zoom can do so by following the information that I have on the screen. That's sort of the details to join the meeting if someone is interested in joining. And as you know, we could use, individuals could use the raise hand icon to request to speak. And if individuals are dialing in, they could press *9 to let us know that they want to speak. I'm going to go ahead and also for individuals in the council chamber, we have a QR code that is in the back of the council chamber, and individuals could scan the QR code, and when that happens, I will receive an email with the name of the individual who wishes to speak. And that, Madam Mayor, is the end of my comment.
Okay.
We have one person in the audience who wants to speak. Are you able to see the person in?
We have one person in here?
The audience, yes.
And I don't see that on the speaker list here, did you?
All right.
So I'm going to have you call the speakers.
Okay, and that's Danny, and I believe I have the name on the screen.
It's not showing up on mine. We have a couple people on Zoom.
Okay, Danny, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Danny McGallis. I'm in my 18th year serving the city as the Water Pollution Control Facility Maintenance Supervisor. I'm also Vice President of HAME, the association that represents the management level of employees in the city. I'm here this evening as a member of a coalition of my colleagues from IFPTE and SEIU, part of our continuing effort to get your support for our goal, which is to come to an agreement on a fair and equitable contract. Our previous contract expired on June 30th. My face is not new to you. Some of you have had the pleasure of meeting through Zoom, and others at our gatherings, which have included the street party, the farmers market, as well as other events. I would like to thank you all for giving us your time on Zoom, and especially by stopping by our booths at these events. Again, thank you. That meant a lot. From the onset of the pandemic, we have been grateful to the City Council and our executive team for taking decisive action to support and protect community residents as well as city staff. The same city staff which have demonstrated the innovation, dedication, and drive to deliver services in spite of the obstacles they face related to childcare, remote learning, access to technology, illness, and stress. As you are fully aware, unlike some business and services, the city did not stop during the pandemic. This was not an option. When folks turn the handle releasing clean water into their home and that water flows through a drain out of their homes, it is often taken for granted. It just happens. When garbage is cleaned from the streets or when a pothole is repaired, when the tree is removed from the street, from the roadway or cut back so it does not enter that roadway, when the catch basins are cleaned to prevent the winter rains from sending the autumn leaves down the drains, which can impede the flows and flood the streets. It is only when these services are compromised that people think about them, and they should not have to think about them. They are paying for these services to be handled efficiently and professionally by a dedicated workforce that is composed of the labor groups who were part of our coalition, a coalition that was formed as the direct result of bargaining that was open and not considered fair and equitable by the groups. And let's not forget all the new development taking place, or the energy production at the WPCF, the recycled water system, the navigation center, and so much more. These are the things that make the city of Hayward great, and we are the people that bring these ideas into fruition. HAME is asking for equity increases, supervisor differentials, as well as COLAs matching those of other groups, not in lieu of COLAs. During the previous negotiations, HAME did not receive equity increases. We were told it was not fiscally responsible. We agreed to a new salary survey, which would be implemented during these negotiations. However, after all the contracts were settled, other groups did receive those equity increases along with COLAs that matched ours or were better. And here we are 3 years later with the message that equities and equal COLAs will not happen. I'm asking that City Council and the executive team to continue to be leaders, ensuring the City of Hayward is a place where city workers want to be a part of the teamwork that makes the dream work. I will close with the meaningful words of our sisters and brothers in coalition: respect us, protect us, and invest in us, so that together we can continue to accomplish great things for the citizens of Hayward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, is there another speaker here?
Thank you. I don't have any other requests from the audience.
From the audience here. Then we'll go to the Zoom attendees, and we have Melissa Jones.
Yes, thank you. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you to the Hayward City Council for the opportunity to provide public comment. My name is Melissa Josue. I'm a resident of Hayward, South Hayward, and I wanted to comment on agenda item number 10, RPT 21-122. And I want to urge the council to vote no on supporting any motion asking Alameda
I'm sorry, Melissa?
Yes.
This is public comments. You need to wait until we get to that item.
Oh, I see.
So just hang on, and I don't think it will be too much longer that we'll get to that item, but yes, you should speak under that item.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I don't know if if either Mr. Eggerman is the next speaker or Kathy Leonard, if they're here to speak on item number 10 or any other item on the agenda, hold off for now, please, and take your hand down. One hand went down. Kathy Leonard, did you want to make a public comment? Your hand is still up. Oh, no, Mr. Eggerman's hand is also up. Now, so I think they might be wanting to speak under the later item. Mr. Eggerman, if you want to speak on public comments, keep your hand up, but if you want to speak on an item on the agenda, please put your hand down for now.
I tried to put it down.
You tried to put it down, but you do want to speak on a later item?
Yes, I do.
Okay, your hand is down now. So we'll remember, and we'll call you when we, is it item number 10? The Howard Terminal?
I think the request to speak
Okay, I think
was
he's
removed.
all right. So So I think we don't have any further public comments. And so we will now move on to comments from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just have one comment I want to make tonight. It's actually some introductions. We are fortunate to have with us this week visiting the city of Hayward a delegation from the Japan Local Government Center. This is a center that is sponsored by the federal government of Japan and that sends representatives to the United States for exchange programs in order to learn more about local government systems in the United States. So I'd like to introduce the Deputy Executive Director, Ms. Miyako Kusakabe, who will introduce the other members of our delegation and make a few comments on behalf of them.
Thank you, City Manager. It is a great honor for us to attend this City Council meeting here in Hayward. I am Miyako Kusakabe, Deputy Executive Director of Japan Local Government Center. And today, so we have 3 other colleagues, all of whom work for Japanese local government, Katsutoshi Kakimoto, and Wisako Kamikasa, and Shuhei Fujimoto. And thank you very much, City of Hayward, to arrange such a great opportunity. I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much, and I look forward to this great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. That's our comment, my comments for this evening, and I just want to welcome again our new friends from the Japan Local Government Center.
Yes, thank you. We do welcome you here, and we've had some interesting discussions in the couple of days you've been here already, talking about similarities and differences between how we operate in both in democratic societies. So I hope that you are learning a lot while you're here and enjoying yourselves too. And we're very happy to have you here and welcome you. So,
Mayor?
yes, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Zermania. Yes, go ahead.
Just a couple of words to welcome you to our great city of Hayward, heart of the Bay, and announce to the general public that yesterday they had dinner at one of the best restaurants of the Bay Area, Los Carnalitos in Hayward, and they loved it.
Oh, great. Okay. Yes, you need to sample the local cuisine, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Okay, so with that then, we are ready to move on to our action items this evening. And first, we will take up our consent calendar, which is this evening, items 1 through 7. Are there any council members, either here or on Zoom, who would like to remove any of these items? Seeing no hands up. I see a hand up. Councilmember Wahab.
I'll move the consent items.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, I just want to check that there were no public comments on any or wanting to speak on any of these. I'm not sure about Mr. Eggerman. I believe he might want to speak on item 10, but I'm not positive. But
Maybe we could allow him to speak? Just in case.
yes, go ahead and allow him to say if he, no, he took his hand down. All right.
Okay.
So with that, the item was, the items number 1 through 7 were moved by Councilmember Wahab, seconded by Councilmember Zermania. Was that correct? Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
See.
Thank you. Mayor Halliday.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the consent items 1 through 7 are approved with 7 aye votes. Now we're going to move on to item 8, which is a public hearing regarding the sale of parcel group 3 for development of new affordable housing and a school. And you may recall that we discussed this item last week, and connection with the Planning Commission approval of the item and
Mayor, I need to recuse myself for this item.
Oh, Councilmember Andrews, sorry, yes, okay.
okay.
Go ahead and say what you
Thank
need to
you.
say.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I will need to recuse myself from this item as I had a previous employer that was interested in this project.
Okay, thank you. So you'll be exiting from Zoom, and the city manager will contact you when we're through here so you can come back.
Thank you.
All right, so anyway, as I was saying, an appeal of the Planning Commission approval was heard by the council last week, and the council voted to deny the appeal. So now this project is back before us for us to vote on a couple of things that are, required for it to move forward. And I'll now turn this over to our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Ott.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, council members. As you mentioned, the item that came before the council on September 28th was really kind of the council acting as kind of the regulatory body on the entitlement approvals or the planning approvals. In this case, the council is acting as the landowner. Parcel Group 3 is owned by the city, and this is an action that the staff's recommending to move forward with transferring the property to developers for the development of affordable housing and a school. So there's a couple actions that the council has to take because of some of the amendments to the Surplus Lands Act that have occurred at the state level. The first action the council has to take to be in compliant with those amendments is to declare this property exempt. And so that's the first resolution. That's our recommendation, is to make that declaration. And then the second is to take steps to essentially approve the documents and the actions that have to be taken to transfer the property from the city to the developers. And this includes several actions: approving a Government Code Section 52201 summary report for the project, which is required by state law, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a disposition and a development agreement, and that's the actual kind of contract or transfer document. And then also, after the entitlements on the 28th, there were additional conversations through the negotiations of the DDA, and there are some amendments that we're recommending to the Parcel Group 3 Affordable Housing Plan. All of these actions are consistent with the prior California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, determinations that have taken place at previous council meetings. So it is a public hearing. We'll do a staff presentation, answer any questions, open public hearing, receive public comment, close public hearing, and then have council deliberation and vote. Just a quick reminder of the Route 238 corridor land. So the city not only owns Parcel Group 3, but a number of other parcel groups. Some of them have already been transferred for private development. This is kind of shows you where those are. We're here tonight to discuss kind of number 3 there towards the right of the screen. Quick background: these are all properties that were slated to be used by Caltrans to build a freeway. Ultimately, that project was abandoned in 2009, and then the city and Caltrans entered into a purchase and sale agreement to facilitate kind of more community control over the disposition or the sale of these parcels for development. And that planning process kind of began in earnest in 2017, and we have till 2027 to dispose of all of these parcels or sell all of these parcels. A lot of the goals that we're really focused on, as the council knows, is to eliminate neighborhood blight, fund new community benefits like affordable housing, like a public community school, negotiate transactions at no net cost to the city, which in this case, this transaction follows those goals, and really facilitate more of a cohesive and productive use of land, more community-driven, whereas if Caltrans had sold these properties, they'd sell them off to the highest bidder. In this case, we can be a lot more thoughtful and community-focused in the way that we sell these parcels. This is just a contextual map. You can see down in the corner where the circle is, Parcel Group 3 is there, adjacent to future La Vista Park, within a half mile of South Hayward BART, and close to Parcel Group 4, which is a little bit to the north of this. I'm not going to read all this. I just want this out here, that this is the first step that I explained already, that we do need to declare these parcels exempt. And we do hold these properties in trust pursuant to the State Route 238 Local Alternative Transportation Improvement Program. So because of our relationship with Caltrans, and therefore we can dispose of these properties, it's already authorized or subject to the conditions already established by state statute. So because of that, we are exempt under the Surplus Lands Act, and therefore are recommending adopting a resolution declaring that exemption. If this resolution is approved tonight, the city manager will transmit a copy of the resolution to the California Department of Housing and Community Development no later than 30 days prior to the disposition of the properties. Just as a reminder, this was here obviously before, but the total parcel group 3 is about 28 acres. 21.5 acres will be retained by the city for an expansion of La Vista Park, which was also brought to you that same night on September 28th. 7 acres for housing and school development, and about 21 single-family lots to be transferred to the developers for resale. A total of 176 affordable units. We just had a work session on RENA and housing element. These 176 units will comprise about 28% of the city's low-income RENA allocation and about 4% of the very low income. The school is a 2-story, 36,000 square foot community school that's in relationship with the primary school that will provide wraparound family services targeted at Hayward's most vulnerable population or families. $500,000 fair share contribution to the Hayward Foothill Trail. And then, as I already mentioned, one of the attributes of this project is within that half mile of South Hayward BART Station. This just gives you an image of the different pieces of this. You see the single-family lots in the north, the expansion area adjacent to future La Vista Park, and then the area in red, really, which is the development site. Both the development site, the red outline there, and then the single-family parcels will be transferred subject to this disposition and development agreement. So I'm going to go through the key terms of the disposition and development agreement, and just kind of really the sale document. So for those of you who haven't heard that term before, it just means the terms by which the city will sell this parcel to a developer. And unlike just a typical kind of private sale, we actually attach conditions to the development as well, not just the sale, but we are selling the land so that it will be developed for this particular purpose for affordable housing and a school. So the parties are the City of Hayward, and then Eden Housing and Pacific West Communities as the affordable housing developer, Strategic Growth Partners as the school developer, and then Eden Housing and Pacific West Communities as the owner of the single-family parcels. The total purchase price is about a little over $3.5 million. Caltrans base price at $2.3 million, and then $1.2 million net to the city. Now, the land closing, which the reason we touch on this is that the city wants to be very careful that when it transfers the land to a developer, that they're ready to develop. So we have certain conditions on closing when we can actually sell the property. So the disposition and development agreement is the contract to sell. It does not mean that immediately after that the property will be sold. So there are terms as by which we'll actually transfer the property. So it requires that the full purchase price is made, that either the school or the housing development has attained their award of their respective tax credit financing. So we know they have the financing they need to move forward with the project. And either the school or the housing development and its associated horizontal infrastructure are ready to construct. So we want to know they're ready to go. As soon as we give them the property, there will be action, there will be development that will occur. Now, in this case, a little different than other parcels where you have a single developer doing a single use, like the Subaru development, for instance, that's building a car dealership. In this case, we have a school and housing development. So we are allowing the school and housing to construct vertical improvements, so the buildings separately with separate timelines, but they are subject to performance milestones for each individual component. So only one of the two projects components has to be ready, and we'll transfer the property at that time, but the other component still has to adhere to performance milestones. We need to know that they're still moving forward with the project, meeting those milestones with the city, so that we're sure that we're going to get both components of the project at the end of the day. There are infrastructure phasing and bonds. So because of how expensive infrastructure is and the fact that there are two different components that are being financed with different sources, we are allowing the developer to move forward with phasing the infrastructure, but they have to provide bonds to the city for all the infrastructure. So that way we know we're protected, that even if one component moves forward a little faster, the city has bonds in the event that the other component doesn't meet its milestones or has something unforeseen happens. We have bonds that we can call on to make sure the full infrastructure package can get built. And just as a little note, there will be some property line shifting, slight property line shifting and infrastructure phasing that may shift slightly depending on how much the school can get financed through new market tax credits. So if they get more than they expect, they might be able to pay for a little more infrastructure up front. And so some of that may shift a little bit, but not substantially. Vertical bonds and guarantees. So when we say this, we want to make sure, as I said, this is a development agreement too, so we want to make sure the actual development gets built. And so bonds are required for vertical development for each component unless the construction lenders or the investors don't require them. If they're not required by their investors or construction lenders, in this instance, the developer is allowed to provide the city with either a personal or corporate guarantee to make sure that the vertical component gets built. Again, trying to make sure that the city has kind of insurance policies in place so that we're put ourselves in the best position to get the whole project according to the timelines that are in the agreement. Lastly, a different component here too is the keyway construction. I think we mentioned this before on September 28th, but independent of the DDA, the city is obligated to construct what's called a keyway associated with the La Vista Park, and that's essentially to mitigate slide risk from the topography of La Vista Park. But by the city has agreed to prioritize the construction of the keyway ahead of the development, so essentially phase the La Vista Park development, allow the keyway to get constructed sooner. This it helps both projects. It helps us move forward La Vista Park, and it helps the developer, in this case, move forward with the housing and school. So we are agreeing to move that forward. We don't have liability if the city doesn't perform. So if something completely unforeseen happens, we don't have liability there, but we are going to move forward with that keyway as quickly as we can. There's also a voluntary affordable housing covenant. So the housing developer has agreed to restrict the affordable housing units for occupancy by low-income households at affordable rent in perpetuity with the city as a third-party beneficiary. So this allows us to have assurance that we will have affordable units in perpetuity. The school covenant, so on the school property, we don't want the school developer, if that doesn't work out, to turn around and sell the property for market rate housing. So we've actually put a restriction to the school site can only be a school, some other public use, affordable housing, but no market rate housing that's allowed on that site. There's no financial assistance that's being provided by the city in this case. And then, as I already mentioned, that there is required by state law to have approval of a summary report. And so a lot of your staff report kind of went into a lot of detail about that. Just quickly on the La Vista Park coordination, as you can see here on the right-hand image, the purple line there is the keyway, that slide mitigation. Obviously to the right of that is La Vista Park, to the left of that is this development, and as I already mentioned, we're expediting that to support both projects with minimal cost and risk to the city. And the CEQA analysis that was performed for that was approved on September 28th as part of the La Vista Park approval by the council. There were, as I already mentioned, some amendments to the affordable housing plan. It was approved by the Planning Commission in July, and then that was essentially upheld on September 28th. We did determine one of the tricky pieces of this is that this project is using density bonus. It's going to have low-income housing tax credits. It's also complying with our affordable housing ordinance, and because of that, it gets a little complicated about the different rent structures and rent scenarios. And so we did find that we needed to make some tweaks to the plan to address some of these conflicting affordability requirements. So we believe the plan before you tonight that is attached to the staff report more accurately reflects the unit mix of the project and is better consistent with state density bonus law and other funding sources. Just quick timeline, I won't go over this too much. I mean, we started this in April 2018, where the city actually issued a request for proposals looking for developers. We entered into an ENA with Eden in Eden and the developers in 2018. And so we've been working on this for several years. The entitlements or the regulatory approvals approved in September, and obviously tonight would be the kind of property owner approvals. And then we are hoping that if we're able to move forward quickly with this, that the school is estimated to start construction in late 2021, early 2022, with opening in the fall of 2023, and that the housing is projected to start construction late 2022, early 2023, depending on how right now tax credit financing is very competitive, but they will be actively pursuing that financing and trying to move the project forward as quickly as possible. So again, I'm just leave this up here. I won't go through it again, but this is staff's recommendation tonight to approve those 2 resolutions. And we're here, I think, at this point to take council questions, and then we'll open the public hearing.
Okay, I see Councilmember Marquez's hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Assistant City Manager, on your presentation. It was extremely comprehensive. You actually answered a lot of my questions. I just had one question for clarity. You mentioned that if the school doesn't get constructed, that it cannot be sold to a market rate housing developer. What are the safeguards in place for the affordable housing project? Can Eden Housing in the future sell it to another housing provider, or what safeguards are in place?
Yeah, sorry, there is a regulatory agreement that will be recorded on the property, and so that too would be restricted for affordable. In that case, it would be restricted for affordable housing.
Okay, and that's the language, the in perpetuity?
Yes, that there, well, I guess it's not, yes, I guess the covenant says in perpetuity, and then the regulatory agreement also requires that the affordable house, that it be affordable housing. So they're kind of 2 different documents, and Joe or Christina, I can't see them, but they're out there. They can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 different documents that do both require that that it stay affordable in perpetuity, and that it has to be affordable housing.
Okay, thank you. Is that correct, Mr. Brick? I see you join.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that clarification. Thank you. Those are all my questions. That's my only question, Mayor.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised from the council or up here on the dais. So we'll now open public comment on this item. And let's see, I know we have 1 speaker in the room here, I think. Oh, no, on Zoom. Daniela Aids. Can we get her? Did she want to talk about this item?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Ades, and I am the Marketing and Communications Manager at Greenbelt Alliance. We are a Bay Area environmental nonprofit organization that has worked to protect open spaces and encourage climate-smart development and city center growth for over 60 years. I'm pleased to be here today representing Greenbelt Alliance to speak once again in support of the La Vista residential project by Eden Housing and the Pacific Companies. This is the kind of climate-smart development that can help ensure our region meet housing goals, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and make sure that local residents are able to grow and thrive in their own communities. Being 100% affordable, La Vista Residential will provide Hayward's expanding population with access to much-needed 176 new affordable homes. With more than 50% of renters in the city of Hayward being rent burdened, approving this project would directly benefit local residents. The presentation from staff highlighted many of the aspects that makes Greenbelt Alliance endorse La Vista Residential through its development endorsement program. And I'd like to highlight that this development project will provide expanded access to open space. It will provide an array of sustainable features such as all-electric buildings, EV charging infrastructure, and permeable pavement. Its close proximity to high-quality transit and other services will aid in meeting the city's vehicles miles traveled reduction goals. Approximately 36,000 square feet will be dedicated to the school that will serve up to 384 students from preschool through the 6th grade. In closing, due to the project's commitment to affordability, close proximity to transit, and access to open space, Greenbelt Alliance believes La Vista Residential will be an important milestone to creating resilient neighborhoods with ready access to transit and housing choices for all of the Bay Area's people. We urge the City Council today to think boldly about the climate resilience and the housing needs of our region and its people and approve this project. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Howard Eggerman.
No, I don't want to speak on this.
Mr. Eggerman?
Mayor, he doesn't want to speak on this item. Maybe you need to
Oh,
announce
oh,
again that it's
okay.
specific to this
Okay.
item.
Yeah, maybe the next. Okay, how about Claudia Rosendo?
Hello, good evening.
Hello? Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Did you want to speak on this item about the...
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you want to speak on this item about the affordable housing and school development?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
So my name is Claudia Rosendo, and I'm here on behalf of the primary school. I am a proud parent of a 4-year-old student currently attending the primary school. This school has been doing such an amazing job for me and my child and this community. They work with me to help educate my child and take care of her mental and physical health, all while supporting me as my daughter's first teacher at home. And I am here tonight because I am in favor of moving this project forward. And I really think it's a vital resource that our community could really use and really needs. And that is all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I do not see any other public requests to speak on this item. Madam City Clerk, are you aware of anyone? Do we just have a hand raised? Elena Ramos? Or does, yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maria Elena Ramos, and I'm here to support the primary school. I have a 5-year-old, my daughter, and it's been so great since the first day she started going in primary school at the beginning through Zoom. She has development very well skills on her language speaking because she was having a problem on her delayed, and that helped a lot. I see that a big difference on Helen while she was with Mr. Releases through Zoom in class. And she was very excited, and I'm here because I really want the project to continue because I have seen, especially my daughter and of course other friends, that they have grown. And what I like about this is that the connection they had with Kaiser as well. I see it like a really good support that the school, is also connected with the health of my daughter. I hope the project gets accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised on this item here or anyone wanting to speak here in the chambers. So I'm going to close public comment and entertain council comments. Councilmember Salinas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item has come to us one at a time, and I know the Planning Commission has thoroughly vetted this project. For myself, and I know, this project will build and yield a much needed amount of affordable housing, and I think in an area where is needed. Secondly, I think for me, it really brings together housing with a school, and this school will serve a population of families and students that the city desperately needs, and that's at the primary level, primarily in the pre-K level. So it is those reasons that I'll be supporting this, and I'd like to move the item.
Second.
I'm going to invite Councilmember Marquez to second the motion if she wants to. Sorry, she had her hand up. Did you want to do that, Councilmember Marquez, or make a comment?
Sure. I'll make a comment. It's okay. I know Councilmember Salinas and Cermeño made the
Okay,
first,
so
second last time.
the motion's been made, the motion to approve the staff recommendation here has been made by Councilmember Salinas, seconded by Councilmember Zermano. Go ahead, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the community, all of the outreach efforts. I'm extremely excited about the affordable housing. Thank you to Green Bay Alliance for calling in and just all the community partners that made this possible. It's an exciting project and looking forward to having more families stay rooted in Hayward. So really looking forward to this development being built. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zermano?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And Jennifer, thank you very much for the report. Thank you to the speakers out there. There are many positives about this particular project, and three of the major ones are, let's see, 176 affordable units done by Eden Housing. That says it right there. And there's also an educational community that's being requested by parents, and I think that's the other important key to this project. Close to BART, funds for the La Vista Park. So I think it's something that's important. That's why I'm supporting the motion. Jennifer, I do have one recommendation, or I don't know if it's a recommendation, but it's something that we speak about walkability. So obviously we're within half a mile of BART. Sometime in the future, my recommendation is going to be that sometime in the future, the folks at this project, whether they are residents or teachers and administrators, students, come up with a notion of a shuttle that would go from BART to the project, because the hill is a steep one. I tried it on my bicycle and I had a very hard time. So maybe sometime in the future you can consider it, you can talk about it, plan it, something. They can easily walk to the BART station, but going up the hill is going to be something different. So I'm hoping my colleagues will also vote, along with colleagues Salinas and myself and Marquez, for this project. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I don't see any other council requests to speak, and I know that we did have a fairly good discussion about this project when we saw it. I think I misspoke earlier. It was actually on September 28th, 3 weeks ago, a few weeks ago. And so anyway, I will be joining in supporting this motion. And Madam City Clerk, will you go ahead and call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
And this motion was made by Councilmember Salinas, seconded by Councilmember Zermano.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up from, okay, Zermano. All right. Councilmember Andrews.
Councilmember Andrews recused herself from this, yes.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Salinas.
Aye.
Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermano.
Aye.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes, and the motion carries with 6 aye votes and 1 recusal. And therefore, I don't think we will be seeing this again anytime soon. We'll be seeing you when you have your ribbon cutting, hopefully, and in a timely manner. Okay, thank you for being here again, and we will now move on to the next item on our agenda, which actually is council reports and announcements. So I will entertain any council members who wish to, and I think Councilmember Marquez would like to make an announcement. Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor, I will be brief. Just wanted to thank everyone who put on the Mariachi Festival. I believe it was the 11th annual event. I had an opportunity to stop by briefly. It was nice to see so many families gathered, enjoying the beautiful music and culture. So thank you to everyone who put that event on. Also just wanted to share with the public that I did have an opportunity to do a ride along with our police department on Friday night. I wanted to do my best to do the entire shift. I got 9 hours in, which was good, from 6 p.m. till 3 a.m. in the morning. and definitely had a lot of observations and takeaways, and just want to thank the officer that I was paired with. I know that we've had many challenges in our community, and we are working diligently to address those policy matters and just concerns of the public in regard to policing now in Hayward. But I will just briefly share that my observations, the people that I was paired up with that evening, I was really, really impressed with their level of just being very thoughtful in their work, very good communication skills with a variety of members of the community. We got to interface with many, many community members and just really saw a lot of respect and grace given that night. So I hope we get to see more of that, and I'm happy to discuss it further in the future with my colleagues, but just wanted to thank the police department for the opportunity and continue to encourage our community members to remain engaged. I know we have a lot of updated information on the website as well in terms of all of our different pilot projects, and we'll be doing future check-ins on that, but just wanted to share that information at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Marquez, for doing the ride along and for sharing your experiences. Wanted to add in to the announcements that this Friday at 3:30, there will be a memorial service. This is the used to be biannual memorial service for children lost to violence throughout Alameda County. You may have noticed if you come off the BART in Hayward downtown that there is a memorial statue with a crane right behind City Hall. That is where the memorial service will be held, 3:30 this Friday. And then at 6 o'clock this coming Tuesday, the 26th, is the final hearing about redistricting that is just about community input. And it is absolutely important to make sure that the Board of Supervisors is aware of community input and how much that matters as they consider drawing the lines. The draft maps will be out in November, and there will be a number of hearings about that. But if you have some input, no matter where you live in Alameda County, that you care about where the district lines end up, next Tuesday at 6 o'clock via Zoom is your chance to chime in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your work on that issue. Councilmember Zermeño.
My mic, I'm trying to turn on my mic on the computer. Just a reminder that this Saturday from 8 to 12, we're going to be cleaning Hayward and Make a Difference Day at Weeks Park. I believe that there are no hot dogs or hamburgers this year, which is a bummer, but that's why I was thinking not going. But I do like to clean our city, so I'll be there sometime within 8 and 12 this Saturday at Weeks Park. Come over and help us clean our city. And for all those who went to our mariachi festival this last Friday, it was a good success in the COVID era. So we're very proud of what we did, we were able to accomplish on Friday. So thank you to all my colleagues who showed up and said a few words. And next year's event is going to be a good one too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I was there. It was a fun time. I'm glad they brought the dancing back. That's my favorite part, the ballet folklorico, but all of it was really wonderful. Thank you for everybody who had a part in that, including the Chamber of Commerce as well.
We actually had 3 mayors show up. The mayor Hayward, who's the most important in the Bay Area, of course. The mayor of Patterson, a former student at Chaboa, one of my former students, and the mayor of Fremont.
I heard that, yes.
Yeah, that's great.
I think I missed her, but yes, she was here. Okay.
I invited Governor Newsom, but he couldn't make it.
Well, we'll have to excuse him. He is pretty busy. But anyway, thank you all for everybody who had a hand in that. That was a really nice coming back. I mean, a tradition that we had to forego last year, and, now, we could do it again. It was really nice. So, Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to add on to the Keep Hayward Clean and Green. I failed to mention Jerry Sannebeck had to resign. He wanted to be closer to his family, so I just want to thank him for his service. He was instrumental in cleaning up Hayward even before being on Keep Hayward Clean and Green, and really motivating the community to take part in making sure our city was beautiful. So thank you so much, Jerry, for all your hard work. And I do believe there will be snacks at this Keep Hayward Clean and Green event at Weeks. So please join us 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I believe there's also a trunk or treat at Eden Youth and Family Center on October 30th at 2 p.m. And I think Kirby, if someone didn't mention it earlier, Kirby is going to be at our library or Heritage Plaza area that same day, earlier that day at 11 a.m. So it's going to be a busy day next week, next Saturday, but I hope to see you all at one of the events. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, if I can make one more brief comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, just because I think it's important that the public knows. We still have 2 more City Hall to You events. So the next meeting is going to be on Saturday, October 23rd from 10 to 11:30 at Longwood Park. There will be a Thursday night virtual meeting in the evening, and then followed up by the community meeting on Saturday. And then the last one that I'm aware of is scheduled for Saturday, November 6th, and that's going to be right outside of City Hall. So please, if you have an opportunity to attend one of those events, come and learn about the People's Budget and all the other amazing initiatives going on in the community. And it's an opportunity for us to hear your thoughts and concerns as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
Thank you. I think one of the most important things that are happening in the city of Hayward in particular is the potential conversations regarding the school closures. We have a number of Hayward schools, I want to say more than 5 at this point, that are being discussed as being potentially shut down. I would recommend any interested parent or resident that is concerned about this to reach out to our local Hayward Unified School Board, as well as our superintendent, and potentially attend some of the town hall meetings that they are having. They've had several already, but I do recommend that because that is significantly important to our community as a whole, especially as we continue to build housing. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for bringing up. That is a big discussion that's going on right now, and those comments should be directed to the Hayward Unified School District Board of Trustees. And let's see. So I'll just, comment. Thank you, Council, for all of the reminders about all of these great events that are going on. I have attended a number of the City Hall to You outreaches at local parks, and have, along with some of my colleagues here, had some really great conversations with some community members. One of the things we're trying to do is get ideas for our people's budget, which is our version of what they call participatory budgeting, which is something that was discussed last year as part of the innovation projects that we had a lot of discussion and came up with. And so this is an opportunity for people in a neighborhood to get together and become delegates and vote for a project and get some funding for that project from the city, something that they would like to do to enhance their own neighborhood and community. So so stay tuned to all that. And I also wanted to add my thanks to Jerry Sannebeck for his service on the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force. We did accept that resignation and as part of our consent calendar this evening, but I was sorry to see that announcement. He had done a lot of good work, actually in my old neighborhood of Southgate. I know that he did a lot of the cleaning up there. And I do think the city is generally looking better because people are making an effort. Our staff has made a huge effort, and now that we're getting the Keep Hayward Clean and Green events revived again, I think we're getting a lot of our public property cleaned up. I think some of the remaining problems, a lot of them are on private property, particularly shopping centers. I've noticed are not maybe doing their part to keep their premises as clean as they should. So maybe our staff could look at that and perhaps give some of them some reminders. So with that, we're now going to move on to council referrals. And the first one that we're going to take up this evening is consideration of adoption of a resolution declaring the city of Hayward a supporter and defender of reproductive freedom. And I will turn this over to Council Member Wahab, who brought this item up for further comment on it.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that we have our guests that will be speaking on this topic able to share their screen as well.
Do we have them on? I think we do.
Yes, Mayor, and we were going to have them
Yes.
speak under public comments because there will be a public comment for this item as well.
So I just want to highlight that they do have a presentation to share with us, as well as I want to say a video. So
Yes.
Okay, so how are, Madam City Manager, what is it that you just said?
I was just suggesting that they can do that as a public comment for the item, which.
Right, so, okay.
So I would just, open it for public comments, have them share their video and the presentation as part of that, and then see if there's
Okay.
any other public comments, and then the council
We
can.
will, we will do that. And I think, is it Cheryl Walton?
So just a real quick question. They won't be restricted to time just because their presentation may be a little bit longer. It's not going to be long, but it's a little bit longer than the 3 minutes.
Okay, well,
So,
yeah, okay. Did you
so I
have
just
more
wanna-
to say about, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I will begin, Mayor. I just want to say thank you. I'd like to ensure that we all support the separation of church and state. This resolution reaffirms our commitment to ensure that all women have the right to govern their own body and protects their right to choose. So I've asked Planned Parenthood, Sherry Grevin, Candelaria Vargas, and Katie to present the latest on the issues about our very own Hayward Planned Parenthood and the issues in the larger public. So I just wanted to give my time to them to have them present.
Okay, so with that, and not seeing any additional council questions, I'll just thank you, Councilmember Wahab, for bringing this forward. I personally very much appreciate it. And I'll open public comments, and we'll ask Ms. Cheryl Walton if she can unmute herself and speak.
The speaker is going to be Katie Goggin.
I'm sorry, who?
Katie Goggin, or Candelaria, who was unmuted at this moment.
I don't.
And I'm here.
All right, please introduce yourself and then go ahead.
Okay, hi. Hello, everyone. I am grateful to speak on behalf of Planned Parenthood Vermonte and the right to access abortion services. And my name is Katie Goggin. I'm a lead trainer for Planned Parenthood Vermonte, and I've worked there for 23 years. I've always worked in health centers, first as a health services specialist, our title for a medical assistant, now as trainer for the position and a facilitator for teen parent support groups. In 2011, I moved to Hayward and moved to our Hayward office, and I helped train folks as health services, which included medication abortion, were reestablished in Hayward. And so many in our Hayward community share that Planned Parenthood Vermonte is the one medical environment where they feel safe and free from judgment. Our community counts on us for life-saving, life-changing services. A vast majority of patients seen at the Hayward Health Center, which is over 85% of the 12,000 appointments last fiscal year, identify as women, people of color, and are low income. We are part of the safety net in Hayward and Alameda County at large, but we're also a safe haven for those who travel a long way from rural areas for abortion services. Now, the influx of out-of-state patients further drives home that this service is so crucial to fight for. As abortion bans continue to be passed across the country at both municipal and state levels, it's critical to provide this reassurance. I'd like to show a video from a 94-year-old supporter who was moved to share her story. Please give me a moment to prepare the video for you.
My name is Muriel Maurer. I'm 94 years old. Before Roe versus Wade, I was living in Saratoga, California. I was married and I had 6 wonderful children. When I found myself pregnant with a 7th, I had my hands full with 6 kids. Another child to care for was not something I was ready for at that time. We'd made the decision to have an abortion. I felt like there was no place I could go. It was illegal, and the only place I could find care was an underground clinic in Mexico. They said they couldn't keep me overnight to watch me because the police were out front. And so we had to leave after the procedure without having had that medical care afterwards. The next morning, I fainted. And then the next thing I remember is that I was in a hospital bed, and I was looking down from above and watching the hospital personnel pack me in ice because I had such a high fever. I almost died. I knew after the experience I had that I did not want anybody else to have to go through that. It scares me to think that we might have to go back to that horrible time.
Ms. Candelaria, were you finished with your presentation?
Just one more to say, just that we're calling on leaders to say what's happening elsewhere will not happen here, and that it just means so much for our local leaders to stand with patients, staff, and the whole community, and to call on our national leaders to do the same. Patients and staff are comforted knowing local leaders support them. With this resolution and statement of values, you're taking a bold and clear stance of support that we cannot go back, and we really want to thank you.
Thank you for that. I have 2 other hands up from the public. Are they part of your presentation, Councilmember Wahab? Do you know?
No, I think these are the same folks that want to speak about the next item.
The next item, yeah, okay. So I hope that that is the case. So Cheryl Walton and Howard Eggerman, can I ask you if you would take your hands down, lower your hands for right now. Okay, and I'm assuming you don't want to speak about, Mr. Eggerman, did you want to speak about this item? Your hand is still up. Okay, his hand is down. All right. Okay. So with that, I just want to, thank Councilmember Wahab for bringing this to us. Thank the representative of Planned Parenthood who spoke. I don't see any other council hands raised. Yes, I do. Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Is the intent to send either the resolution or a letter to our congressional and Senate representatives if it passes this evening?
That's a very good question. And I think that, yes, if this is in a resolution form, it calls on Congress to protect reproductive freedom nationwide by enacting legislation. So I think it would be absolutely appropriate to send it to our own congressional representatives. Yeah, and I see Councilmember Wahab shaking her head. And so thank you for bringing that up. I think that is a good idea.
Definitely. I'm happy to include that. I'll move the item with Councilmember Lamnon's suggestion. Sorry.
Okay. Is there a second? I will second the item. and with those suggestions from Councilmember Lamnin. And with that, on this motion to support this resolution, one of the things I would like to point out is that one of the whereases in this resolution that we are passing right now notes that restrictions, bans, and limitations to reproductive freedom disproportionately impact populations that already face barriers to accessing care, including communities of color, individuals with low income, immigrant communities, youth, and rural communities. And with our local, Hayward emphasis on equity, I just think that's a very important consideration, thing for us to consider in hopefully approving this. So with that, I will ask, wait a minute. Did you want to say something else, Councilmember Wahab?
Yes, I just really appreciate our local Planned Parenthood speaking on this topic. I do want to say that we do have a local Planned Parenthood,
Yes.
One street away from the City Hall. It's incredibly vital, these services. It's not just abortion rights, it's also just reproductive justice and support services and things like that. So I really just want to highlight this nonprofit, support the community and the group, and also ensure that everyone has the right to choose, regardless of their personal beliefs. It should not infringe anybody else's right to freedom and these, in my particular opinion, constitutional rights. So I again appreciate the presentation and thank our council and hope everyone votes on this. Thank you.
Okay. So now, thank you. And Madam City Clerk, on the motion by Councilmember Wahab, seconded by me, please call the roll for the vote.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Salinas.
Aye.
Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
Aye.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes, and the motion carries with 7 aye votes. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we will move on to item number 10. And this is where anyone from the public who wants to speak on this item number 10 should now put their hands up. But before that, we will, this item is a referral from me, actually, and it's to consider adoption of a resolution urging the Alameda County Board of Supervisors to support the proposed Howard Terminal Waterfront Ballpark District Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District, to support the Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District. And I will just say that I brought this item to our City Council. This really does not relate to Hayward, it's not a Hayward project, but it is an City of Oakland project. And the mayor of the City of Oakland asked her fellow mayors in Alameda County to consider this resolution. And, I think we probably all read in the papers the whole issue of the ownership of the A's have announced that they want a new ballpark, that they are not, that they do not want to build a new ballpark on the current site of the Oakland Coliseum, which would be a good place to build it because it's on a BART line. I think a lot of people think that, but they do not want to do that. They are threatening to take their ball club and move to Las Vegas. I know we have a lot of A's fans in our area. I'm not really one of them. I mean, I like the A's okay, but I'm really a Giants fan. And it probably wouldn't completely break my heart if the A's did move away. In fact, the Giants already did break my heart last week. But anyway, I am a baseball fan, and I know what it means to a lot of people who enjoy it, who have enjoyed it over the years in this community. I do think that the Howard Terminal project is a very complex project, and that it has a lot to resolve before it will become a reality, and it may never become a reality. What I'm asking the council to do tonight is to approve a resolution that says we urge the County Board of Supervisors to opt in to this enhanced infrastructure financing district. Now, what that is, it is a tool that the legislature, after taking redevelopment, the tool of redevelopment, away from all of us a number of years ago, has put out there to encourage people to do that very thing, try to redevelop vacant or blighted properties. And that probably need a lot of work and infrastructure, as certainly does this particular location, Howard Terminal, which is just a little bit north of where Jack London Square is in Oakland. And it will require a lot of infrastructure to do this project, in addition to a ballpark which will be entirely financed by the ownership of the A's themselves. The project is calling for a lot more, a lot of housing, and a lot of public infrastructure, parks, a performing arts center. That's actually dearer to my heart than a baseball field. But it's quite a project and would be quite an addition, not only to the city of Oakland, but to our region. I think it would provide a lot of economic benefits if it gets done. That is not in our hands, whether this project can actually, overcome all the hurdles that it has to overcome before it gets any final approval or really gets built. This is a step. The county supervisors are being asked, just as the city of Oakland, I believe, has already done, to opt in to this district, whereby once it's the same as redevelopment, which is a hard thing to explain, but so you take a tax base that's there now, and this land right now, I believe owned by the Port of Oakland, has some kind of a property value, and it pays taxes based on that, and it would continue to do that through the life of the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. However, as property value went up due to the production of the project, the ballpark, and all of the housing, office, hotel that is planned for the site, the property values would go up, but the increased amount of property taxes that would be paid as a result of that, or that are being paid as a result of that, would go back to paying off bonds that would have to be purchased to actually put the infrastructure into the property. So that's a short explanation of Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. The County Board of Supervisors will be considering this matter. I'm not sure when. Do you know when it is, Madam City Manager?
I believe it's actually next Tuesday at their meeting.
Next Tuesday?
Is next Tuesday, the 26th, yes.
Yes, okay. Next week at their meeting. And so this is and council members can, I'm willing to hear whatever anyone has to say about this, but at the request of the mayor of Oakland, I did put this forward to help urge the Board of Supervisors to approve the opting in, for the county to opt into the EIFD. So with that, I'll take any questions that anybody on council has. Councilmember Wahab?
Thank you. This is probably more for our city manager. We received not only a letter from written by two supervisors, as well as the mayor of Oakland herself. Would you be able to highlight kind of some of the points that were mentioned, specifically the mayor's fact and not fact?
I don't actually recall seeing the one from the...
It came in while we were in the 5:30 meeting.
Oh,
so
okay, from the mayor of Oakland. I have the one from the... Do you want to go ahead and summarize that?
I'm actually, we have, I believe, a staff person from Mayor Schaaf's office on the Zoom call with us. So I might call on her to elaborate on some of those points, since I really have not done any research on this topic and have just brought it forward at the request. So I believe, is Veronica on the Zoom call? If she wants to unmute herself. Yeah.
Good evening. Yes, I'm present.
Great. Do you want to maybe address some of the key points from Mayor Schaaf's letter?
Sure. Well, allow me to thank you, Mayor and City Council, for allowing me to be present to just give a high-level explanation of that will help inform the decision that the action that you're about to take. Basically, the summary that Mayor Halliday gave was spot on. And so with the letter that Mayor Schaaf sent today, it basically is explaining the facts of the county participating or opting into the EIFD, the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. The main takeaway is that there's a lot of I guess information out there that is saying that this is by opting into the EIFD that it's a bad deal for Oakland, it's a bad deal for Alameda County, it's the Raiders deal all over again, et cetera. It's using public money to benefit a private billionaire, et cetera. And the main takeaway of this letter is that the project itself will help materialize public benefits that include desperately needed affordable housing, open space, it'll generate jobs, et cetera. And it will do so in a way that's responsible not just to the city of Oakland, but also to the Alameda County by not putting any of our general funds at risk. The EIFD, it's a reimbursement mechanism where in the case of this project, the developer, which is the Oakland A's, would be responsible for all the upfront costs for the on-site infrastructure. And the EIFD, as the revenues are generated through the increased assessment, et cetera, the EIFD funds would reimburse the developer for that on-site infrastructure that is not the baseball park. So the baseball stadium will be 100% privately financed. The Oakland A's would pay for that, and the EIFD would go towards all the other development. So it's the county itself, by opting in, would receive revenue, a one-time revenue of it was $65 million of one-time revenue, and then more than $5 million each year throughout the life of the EIFD. So this is money that is considered, that's referred to as but-for taxes. These taxes would not exist but for this project. And so it's not taking money away from existing obligations that the city and county are responsible for. And let's see, so that's the main takeaway that I would say with this letter. And I could talk ad nauseum about this, so it'd be helpful if
why don't you just hang on there, and maybe there'll be some other questions that that will come up. I see.
Mayor Halliday, can I also just respond? The other question was about the letter from. So the council did also receive a copy of a letter that went to President Keith Carson of the Board of Supervisors from Supervisor Halbert and Supervisor Valle, which basically requested that while the item is currently agendized for October 26th, it is as an informational item, and the two supervisors, Valle and Halbert, had requested that it be brought forward as an action item. And basically, it's a non-binding resolution that they have requested be taken up for a discussion and a vote on the concept of the infrastructure financing district. So that is the gist of the other letter that was received this evening.
Thank you. And I just wanted to provide that to the public who has been emailing us and kind of just provide some transparency on the latest discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question for Ms. Cummings. Want to know if you can give me any insight of what happens to East Oakland after this?
Well, in terms of the Coliseum site, there is interest so the county entered into an agreement with the A's to sell its portion of the Coliseum site to the Oakland A's, and the city retains the other half the ownership of that site. And so there's been interest by a different company to purchase the city share to develop. So right now, that site itself, I can tell you that there is not any plans to build the baseball stadium out there. And so as to what happens to it, it could go towards a different entity that is a sports, it's an all-black sports franchise. It could be used to develop housing. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but it really does depend on the outcome of who ends up owning the other half.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other council.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lamnon. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Certainly willing to wait for my colleagues in the room if they their hands up, but I did have a couple questions about this. So what I'm not quite understanding, and thank you for being here this evening, Ms. Cummings. So generally for a project, we in the city we would look, and I'm sure Oakland's similar, we look to the developer to pay for the infrastructure and the public benefits themselves. And I'm just not quite understanding, given the magnitude of this project and the revenue I would anticipate it bringing in for the developer, why is the EFID needed to make this project work? Can you share a little bit of information about that?
Sure. It's needed in order to make the project economically feasible. It's as you stated, Councilmember Lamnon, this is it's the largest project certainly for the city of Oakland, and it is a public-private partnership. And so it would, I mean, the price tag itself, it wouldn't be economically feasible for the developer to pay for it all. And that's why the money from the EIFD that would not exist but for this project is one of the sources of funding for the infrastructure.
And Councilmember Lamnon, I would just remind you, it's not always the case. I mean, in a lot of projects where it's just basic things like another traffic light or, sidewalks, some changes in the street. But we have done a lot. The City Hall was built through such a, through the redevelopment, which is very similar to the enhanced financing district, with that very concept of the tax increment paying off the bonds used to build this and some other amenities in this downtown that were done through the redevelopment process. So, it is a model that's been used even here in Hayward.
I understand that, and I appreciate the reminder as well. It's that so much of this project is for profit that feels different to me than that, but I appreciate the context. The last question I had was, so I know there's conversations around affordable housing, and I've seen some numbers about that, but are there also conversations around affordable commercial spaces to support businesses, lower income businesses in the Oakland area?
We went through a robust community benefits process, and the discussion of affordable retail, commercial office space, et cetera, is included as recommendations for the community benefits. And so from the developer's perspective, I don't know what conversations they've had with different local businesses or whatnot, but there certainly have been conversations through the community benefits process, which the city of Oakland led. Actually, I led that process. So there absolutely is consideration for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I don't see any other questions right now from council members, so I'll open public comment on this item. And let's see, I don't think we...
Mayor, I just wanted to remind you in the council handbook that the public comment period for referrals is 1 minute per speaker, unless the council chooses to modify that.
Yes, that is correct. So I think we will stick to that tonight. We have a number of speakers here, so we will have 1 minute per comment on this, and we have a number of speakers. They do appear to all be on Zoom. I don't think there's anybody here in the chambers that wants to speak on this item. Seeing no one, we'll just go right to Zoom. Madam City Clerk, it looks like the first speaker is Luna Bocanegra.
Thank you, council members. Can you hear me?
Yes, and again, we're having 1 minute per comment on this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So my name is Andrea Luna Bocanegra. I am a resident of East Oakland. I'm also an elected member of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. And we actually voted on a resolution both to against this project, both for the city and for the county as part of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. So we did vote as a no to support this project. This project is going to hurt the port, and it's going to hurt also all of the businesses that use the port. I used to sit on the Hayward Chamber of Commerce with Kim Huggett when I used to work for Annabelle Candy Company, and I'm very familiar with how that industry works. So this is definitely going to impact all the port businesses, all the companies that use the port, such as Azuma, Chasta, Pucci Foods, U.S. Trading Company. All those are in Hayward, and it is going to impact them because if this project affects the port, even a little bit, as you can see right now, what's happening with the supply chain issues where there's empty shelves in the store. Well, this is exactly the same impact that will happen when we reduce productivity at the port. So I have a big concern about that. ILWU is not supporting the project. The BART is not supporting the project. Also, some of the county, Alameda board members also do not support the project. There's misconception that all of the labor supports it. However, that is not true. I have other things to add on, but
yes, thank you. Your time is up. Sorry, Cheryl Walton. She'll be followed by A. Wright.
Okay, 1 minute, huh? First, I would like to just say I'm Cheryl Walton. And I just would like to say, Miss Veronica, when you can, please explain that the whole community public benefits that you talked about that are going to be provided for commercial and housing is going to be over a 45 to 60 year period. And many of us won't even be living during that time. So I'm urging you to vote no on supporting any motion tonight for Alameda County to spend our tax dollars on the A's private luxury development. The A's could realize the same benefits of the new ballpark village at the Coliseum that they could at Howard Terminal without negatively impacting the environment. You guys say that we are focused on equity. Well, if we're focused on equity, then it would be foolish for our city to ask the county to support a private project that will divert the resources away from critical programs and services, including public health and safety.
Thank you. Next, A. Wright will be followed by Didicus Ramos.
Good evening. Thank you for having us on. I'm Aaron Wright from Local 10, ILW Local 10. I'm the business agent. We were working with East Oakland Stadium Alliance in opposition to this project. Howard Terminal is actually an essential part of our port. It's right where the trains go by, the trucks go through there, and the ships turn there. If you put luxury high-rise condominiums, art center, and a baseball stadium in there, you're going to put thousands of cars in a very congested place already. It will choke off our port. As you know, Northern California's economy is supported by this port. And whether it's manufacturing, whether it's retail, whether it's agriculture, you need it running. We've been running at a record pace all year. We've just hired 1,000 people, most of them Black, with the only caveat to employment is having a driver's license. This is a high-paying job, a good-paying job, and essential for our economy.
Thank you.
And baseball stadium there will be detrimental to this entire region.
Thank you. Next, we have Didicus Ramos, followed by Kathy Leonard.
Mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. So as you know, I sent you emails to all the council members and letters to some of you in specific. Even looking at this as a business proposition, I have to ask, what is the direct benefit to Hayward in this, and why are we getting involved in it? And I don't really see some, but I think that needs to be answered to our satisfaction. Then, since it is a business proposition and a financial one at that, then there should be some rate of return that benefits Hayward, even if it's through the county, but it needs to benefit Hayward. And then finally, how will this debt be serviced? I don't think that it was adequately answered by the comments so far. And I think that that's going to end up being another tax burden on the residents of Hayward, if not the city. So for that reason, I think that you shouldn't pass this recommendation, and it needs a lot more study at the least. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Leonard, followed by Susan Ransom. Kathy Leonard, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
I am. I was born and raised in Oakland. I'm deeply involved in civic affairs in Oakland. I've served on 2 city commissions. I'm currently serving on a commission now. I sincerely believe that this deal will be terrible for Oakland, and in particular, the residents in West Oakland, who will be displaced. We cannot afford to subsidize any more sports teams. Currently, the Warriors of both Oakland and Alameda County, $10 million each. Does this stop? While the A's are hoping to rush an approval of their massive development, they have yet to disclose to the public critical details of their project. They are asking the county to commit taxpayer dollars to a project for which there is no price tag and no oversight. There is no reason to make any commitment before the full scope of the project is determined. The city has finalized its financial terms with the A's, and the complete price tag for taxpayer funds is revealed to the city. I could go on and on about why this is just a horrible deal. Oakland is always getting stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Ransom, followed by Linda Adams.
Hi, Susan Ransom, SSA Terminal for Port of Oakland, handling 70% of the movement of goods at the Port of Oakland, all in the Inner Harbor, along with 84,000 port-related workers that are getting those goods on all those empty shelves you hear about daily in long-term port business for decades. The misinformation or lack of information on Howard Terminal project is astounding. The Alameda County Board of Supervisors has not even agreed to anything yet. And yet you are asked to vote on something tonight that has a huge downline impact on port operations, Port of Oakland, ILWU, truckers, warehouses, rail to support inland locations in other states, residents in Oakland, and all customers bringing goods to our homes, just to name a few. This is crazy. The fact that this is even on the agenda for tonight with little information that you have, I feel like I would like you to table this vote. Look at the facts, get the information before you put your support in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Linda Adams, followed by, and she'll be followed by Liz Ortega.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Hi. Linda Adams here. I am a ILWU longshore woman who works down there, and I'm African American who works down at the port. I think this is a terrible idea. Never once have I heard a clear explanation of this whole project. Affordable housing, affordable for who? Why is this even on the table for a private sector to come in and not only ask for funding to assist with the infrastructure, who still there's no guarantee that the ball team is going to stay anyway. Look at the infrastructure that was put in for the Coliseum, and now the teams are gone. So who is this going to benefit? This is a private investor looking for funding for his project. How is it going to benefit us with the exception of congestion, the port? Look at Los Angeles now. We're already dealing with congestion. We're dealing with truckers, as they say. Where's that going to leave us? And then let's talk about the employment, the jobs that they're promising, where they're compromising our jobs. So you're willing to take away some jobs to give to someone else.
For your comments. Liz Ortega, followed by Kepstein.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Liz Ortega Toro. I'm the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Alameda Labor Council, representing 135,000 union workers in Alameda County, calling in support of tonight's resolution, asking for an aye vote, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kapstein, followed by Doug Block.
My name's Kitty Kelly Epstein. I'm a professor in Holy Names University in Oakland, and I am completely opposed to this entire project because it will benefit a billionaire and not the people of Oakland or the people of Hayward. This Council of Oakland has had no opportunity to vote on this, and they are the ones who make the decision. So asking the Hayward Council to take a vote without the same information and without the Oakland Council getting to take a vote is not a good thing. There are no community benefits being paid for by the billionaire who is behind this project, and we would be very unhappy to have the county involved or Hayward involved in trying to make this happen, in spite of the fact that it's actually financing 3,000 luxury condos and a mall on port property, the port, which is so important to Oakland and to Hayward also for our finances. And about workers, there are workers at the port, and it seems to me a lacking in solidarity not to stand with the people who already have employment at the port and are going to lose that employment if this project happens.
Thank you. Doug Block, followed by Austin Tan.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Doug Block, and I'm with Teamsters Joint Council number 7. You know us well. Maybe you don't know the 250 Teamsters working at the Oakland Coliseum, including ticket takers, vendors, and parking lot attendants. We will follow our jobs to the Howard Terminal, but not to Las Vegas. The move would be catastrophic for our members. Additionally, we are a port union. We drive the trains, the trucks, and work in the warehouses the ILWU mentioned. We don't see this as a threat to the port. The infrastructure work and the projects, such as grade crossings and street repairs, will enhance the work we do at the port. The City of Oakland leaders are working overtime to keep the A's here. They deserve your support. We urge an aye vote on the resolution, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Austin Tam, followed by Adelaide Sanchez.
Can you hear me?
Tam.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Austin Tam. I'm an elected member of the Central Committee, the gateway to the Democratic Party. Why fix it if it's not broken? What are you hiding? This will only cause gentrification, a lack of accessibility for people, seniors, and for people with disabilities like myself. And also, why are we voting on something that you have little information? This is absolutely shameful, and you know what you all are doing. The official family do not care about nobody except for themselves, and this is literally a sweetheart deal. Vote no. I urge you to vote no, especially for those who have aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you. Extali Sanchez, to be followed by Mike Jacob.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Hayward City Council members. My name is Signali Sanchez. I am a Unite Here member, and I also sit on the Executive Committee Board. Unite Here is one of the unions that represent thousands of the union members who work at the Coliseum. So supporting the Howard Terminal project will ensure that these union members continue to be employed for years to come and also create new good job opportunities. After a recent hardship year, workers need hope for good paying jobs, one with a wage that reflects the cost of living, access to affordable healthcare, and the opportunity to actually retire without worries. I have faith that the Oakland City Council is working to ensure that this is a fair project. So I urge the council to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Jacob, followed by Melody Davis.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mike Jacob. I'm with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, and we represent ocean carriers, marine terminal operators at the Port of Oakland. We're headquartered at Jack London Square. And we're opposed to this, and we'd ask you to not adopt this resolution this evening, in part because your resolution is just fundamentally flawed in numerous ways, and it's probably reflective of the fact this was rushed onto your agenda. The Howard Terminal is not underutilized and functionally obsolete, as is claimed in your resolution. It moves over 325,000 trucks a year, over 1,200 a week. And the A's have asked BCDC to go through a process of taking the seaport designation for Howard Terminal away, and has declined to do so. And in fact, in a report that was commissioned by BCDC to look at the question, it actually recommended that Howard Terminal stay in industrial use. We need to protect this asset. We need to make sure that it is protected. All of our port operations, as you heard from the ILWU and from Susan Ransom at SSA, are critical and they're impacted by this project. There is no mitigation measure that has been put in place to address seaport compatibility measures. And
Okay, thank you. Melody Davis, followed by Henoch Giddy.
Hello, this is Melody Davis. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for taking the time out for us to have ask you guys some questions and hopefully give you some answers. I live in West Oakland, and I know this is going to be detrimental to us because the taxes of these people who've been living here for 50 and 60 years are going to be taxed more. And so that's where relocation to come in. And there's nothing saying that Mr. Fisher, who's the owner of the A's, and his project and his deal, horrible deal, has said that he would give relocation money to the people that's going to have to move. This deal is going to be a nightmare for all of us, especially in West Oakland. Do you know that that tax you're talking about is one tax for the city of Oakland, then for the people who live by the courthouse, by the lake to Mandela, is going to be taxed again. That's double. That's way too much money for this man to get by to put it in his pocket. None of this is for the community at all.
Thank you for your comments. Hannah Giddy, followed by Howard Eggerman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Henoch. I just want to point out some points. When will we stop letting private companies privatize public lands? Veronica said a bunch of stuff, but I dare you to ask Veronica how much of these new residential buildings that will be surrounding the ballpark will be made affordable, because the A's are not asking for any of it to be affordable. And Miriam, about the model that you said City Hall, Hayward City Hall was made on the same model, that's public. This is a private company that's coming in to take over public land. We won't let John Fisher have his way by any means.
Thank you. Was that Hannah Giddy? Or do we still have? Yeah, I think that was it. No, Tom, no, there are a couple others. Tom Ferreira?
Please go ahead.
Hi, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I have a friend that's a supervisor at the port, and they said there's no issues with their boats. It's only in LA that's having the issue, and they can handle even more boats than what they have now. And then as far as this project coming to Oakland, I think this helps all the surrounding cities, including our own. We have a few hotels that we're building that would help revenue and help people come to our city and eat the great food of our city and enjoy our city. And it helps out with the union jobs and everything else and the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we get Mr. Giddy? He did speak, didn't?
I believe there was an issue. I think we should just allow to speak. I want to make sure he's
Okay, Mr. Giddy?
Yeah, hello, I guess can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it disconnected. But I just want to reiterate, voting on something to be supported that you were just briefed on is not a good idea. So please just keep that in mind. And me being a real West Oakland resident for my 30 years that I've been on this earth, I see the changes that have been made and are being made, and they're not for the public of West Oakland. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And with that, I don't see any other hands from the public, so I'm going to close public comment on this item. And, I'm going to go ahead and move the item since I brought it. And I would say that we are not deciding on whether this project itself should go forward. It's not going to be our decision. But we are part of Alameda County. And I think that, a fellow city is asking the Board of Supervisors to support a project with this tool that has been offered by the state as sort of a replacement for redevelopment, which they took away, which we actually used here in Hayward to do some very good things. And, based on what I've heard tonight, I know there are a lot of pros and cons with this project, and it isn't really ready yet for any final vote, and when it is, we will not be the ones voting on it. And this resolution would request that the Board of Supervisors strongly consider this request that has been made to them by City of Oakland to support use of this financing tool to support this project, which I do believe would have economic benefits for all of Alameda County if it gets built, which is really a stretch. And I just don't know where this will all lead us. I think tonight I realized that maybe it is best not to wade into another city's business. I think we at the Mayor's Conference do tend to try to support each other when we can. We have common interests as city leaders, and so I'm just asking my fellow council members to consider this motion.
Second, and I agree with you. Second.
And my motion has been seconded by Councilmember Zermeño. And so thank you, Councilmember Zermeño. Would you like to speak to the item?
Just for the reasons you stated, we're not voting for this project. We're simply suggesting to our board, to our supervisors, that they look into it and that they look into this particular infrastructure financing district to see if it's something that's viable, to just keep working on it. The project is not ours to vote on. We're simply wanting to offer a suggestion to our supervisors. That's fine. And that's why I support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your work on the Mayor's Conference and the work that a lot of folks have done, both on the council and in the city as a whole, to really have more collaboration across the county. And so then sometimes that means that we have these awkward moments of, is this ours to weigh into? Is it not? And so I thought about that a lot. And and the temptation was absolutely there. This is a project I had not been tracking, but we are charged with making a decision, and the county meeting is next week, and so therefore we do our research, we talk to people, and we make the best decision we can with the information we have. And so with that, I can support the motion. Because in part for a few different reasons that I'll be expeditious in saying. One is that the idea of the county entering into EFID where some of the funds support a local project, I would love to see that happen in Hayward as well. And I think we have a couple spots, perhaps the mall, perhaps some other areas, perhaps some of our parcel groups, 8 and 9 come to mind, where there could be countywide benefit to being able to stimulate the kinds of economy and housing that Hayward has dreamed of. And so being able to encourage the county to look at this tool. And that's what we're doing tonight, as my colleagues have said. This isn't really a vote on the project. It's a little bit of a vote of confidence, but mostly everybody's in non-binding agreements right now. And so nothing moves this project forward other than continuing to explore, is it viable? I do, again, I appreciate Ms. Cummings being here, and I do encourage back to the City of Oakland to really look closely at the community benefits. I appreciate that you were working on that project, and I do have concerns about the amount of profit that the private developer will make with the public lands, and that is facilitated by the EFID. And so really wanting, as a one city to another, wanting to make sure that the community benefits really are there. And having talked with many of the city council members, I know that that is their priority too. And I think the questions about the traffic impacts, given the port traffic and the number of trucks moving in and out of that, it's a little bit of a different traffic study than typically gets done. I'm sure this is already on your radar, but I want to make sure that I just want to highlight that for this discussion. We only get things built in the city, as we've said a couple times this evening, through public-private partnerships. And so it's our job as stewards to make sure that that is as publicly beneficial as possible. And I appreciate everybody that has chimed in, both pro and con, as I think there have been really important issues raised, and I look forward to further conversation on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually received a media request for 2 things, possibly since I've started being on council, was for shooting and this item. And this item is not even in Hayward. So while I have the media's attention, I just want to let you know we had Mia's Dream All Abilities Playground that opened, successful Mariachi Festival, Juneteenth business closure initiated by NAACP, Juneteenth celebration. Additional mental health services as part of emergency response, many affordable housing projects, opening of Heritage Plaza, our library, and donations collected for the Afghan community, and much, much more. So I just wanted to, since I have your attention tonight on this item. The other thing I would like to just say is that I have been in communities, lived in communities where sports teams have come and gone. And when I asked the question, what happens to East Oakland? I didn't really get a firm answer. These types of projects, they have a huge impact on these communities. And this community supported this team, not talking just Oakland, East Oakland in particular, supported this team for so long. And they served your food, they protect your cars, they let you use their roads. And then people can just leave to be on another side of town. And that's when we start talking about enhancement infrastructure districts. Where's the infrastructure improvement district in East Oakland? You can drive through East Oakland right now and it's a struggle. And you see how that community is suffering. So I was very surprised to see this item on the City of Hayward agenda. I'm very supportive of keeping Oakland A's, keeping Oakland having a team in their community, very supportive of it. I just feel like Hayward having a say on this improvement district is saying what should happen in another community, and it sets a precedent. And I'm just a little nervous about us saying what goes into this community. East Oakland is already feeling the impact of 3 teams leaving. Oakland Raiders left multiple times. They left LA multiple times. And my dad was an avid Raider fan. And I know with the impacts of a team leaving, so I definitely don't want to see the A's leaving Oakland, but they are leaving East Oakland. And so the people who are watching, who are rooting for Oakland A's, who are rooted in Oakland, however much money you spent on those ticket sales, like for when you bought tickets for the A's, donate to some of the East Oakland initiatives that are in East Oakland, because this community is going to suffer for a very long time with this team not being here. You can look at East Oakland Youth Development Center, you can look at Youth Uprising, you can look at Roots Clinic. That same amount of money you spent on that Oakland A's ticket, put it into East Oakland, because they're going to need it. And I'm going to abstain because this is town biz. This is town biz. This isn't Hayward biz. This is town biz. So I'm going to abstain because I don't feel comfortable making a decision on this tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other council requests to speak, so I will just ask the city clerk, Ms. Lenz, to conduct a roll call vote on the motion to support the resolution made by me and seconded by Councilmember Zermano.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Abstain.
Thank you. Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Abstain.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Abstain. Can you hear me?
Abstain? Yes, thank you. Councilmember Salinas.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Francisco Zermano.
Yes.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes, and the motion carries with 5 aye votes and 2 abstentions. Thank you all, and yes, thank you to the council for, hearing this item. I realize this was a little bit different, and maybe a lesson to be careful what you step into. However, I was convinced after hearing numerous discussions about this project over the last couple of years at various regional bodies that I'm at, that and I would say we just got a letter that was signed by 2 supervisors, including our own, who are apparently supporting this and wanting to move it forward at the board meeting. But anyway, interesting project. We will probably not be taking this up again at the Hayward City Council, but we have now passed a resolution urging the Board of Supervisors to support this one element of the project, the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. And with that, if there are no further items or requests to speak, seeing none, until our next meeting a week from now, October 26th at 7 p.m., we are adjourned.
Recording stopped.